Now I want to introduce two young ladies who have an amazing heart and vision for the families in our community. Rebekah Grindstaff and Kenzie Emerson, come on up here and share about the next legacy ministry of Nampa First Church of the Nazarene.
Hello, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. My name is Rebekah Grindstaff, and just to let everybody know, I see some faces I know in the crowd, but we're going to go through our bios just so you know a little bit more about us before we dive into our presentation today. So I graduated with my bachelor's in communication science from Northwest Nazarene University, and then, school's fun, so I went back and got my master's in business administration. And for my career, I've spent my entire time dedicated to helping vulnerable people in the community, and so that includes children in foster care, and right now I'm serving at a crisis center in downtown Boise as their program director, really focusing on making sure that they have everything they need, like counseling, legal services, basic needs support, etc. So that's kind of my professional background, and I have the joy of serving with Pastor Tony on the Care House Partnerships Board.
And my name is Kenzie Emerson. Right now, I work in the church office as one of the front receptionists. I graduated from NNU with my bachelor's in social work, and I have my certification as a child care director. I have volunteered with children in the foster care system, and that's kind of always where my heart has been, is with children in need and families in need and serving them.
So what is the Care House Learning Center? You see our adorable shirts, logo courtesy of Brian Lober. Thank you, thank you. We plan to be a 501c3 not-for-profit with the mission to improve the lives of children and families through comprehensive support, through accessible child care, and the love of Jesus Christ. So to hone in on that a little bit, it's going to be a full-time learning center, so childcare for kids 0 to 4 years old. So when I say 0 to 4, I mean 0 to kindergarten. We're going to stop enrolling kids at age 4, but they can age up until they go to kindergarten, if that makes sense. And then we are going to offer a sliding scale fee system. So you're going to charge based on the amount of money somebody makes. So if you make less money, you'll pay less for childcare services. And so we'll be able to serve workforce families and also families, like general families in the community of our church in Nampa. I'll tell you a little bit more about what I mean by that in a second. We are also going to be connecting with community resources. So you just heard about all the great things that Care House Partnerships is doing with the food bank and the medical clinic and counseling. And we are so excited to be able to provide another layer of community support to children and families through this learning center and connect them to the resources that NFC is already providing, which we're thrilled about. We are going to be using the facilities here at Nampa First Church of the Nazarene, specifically the nursery to start, and then potentially growing to the preschool area. So you all already know you send your kids and grandkids and kids you like there on Sunday mornings and Wednesdays and some odd hours during the week. But now we'll be able to utilize that space regularly for learning center activities as well. So we're so excited about that. And the whole point of this is to be quality childcare. So the lower your income is, the more likely you're going to have to rely on less reliable childcare, and that increases family risk factors. And so we really want to be able to provide a quality, Christ-centered product for our families in the community. So why childcare? I see some little ones out there. How many of you, raise your hand, if you have a kid that you like in your life, or maybe you like them most of the time? Okay, so if any of you have a 0 to 5-year-old right now, you probably know, if you've tried looking for childcare, how hard it is to find somebody. There are over 6,000 kids in that age group, 0 to 5 in Nampa, and there are less than 50 childcare centers in the city to serve that population. Now, I know that not every child will necessarily need childcare. Maybe there will be some stay-at-home parents. But for some families, staying at home just really isn't an option if they have to pay the bills and make things work. And so they have to have childcare. And when you have less than 50 centers to choose from that are all at capacity, that makes it really challenging to make that decision. So let's look at the breakdown, demographics and income-wise. So in Canyon County as a whole, 10% of the population falls below the federal poverty line, and almost 50% of the population falls below the ALICE threshold. I'm seeing some blank stares. Anybody know what Alice is? Ooh, I see 4 hands. Okay, let me tell you more. So ALICE is an acronym. It stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. So the federal poverty line is a helpful tool, but it has been very minimally revised in about 40 years. They add to it yearly, and it's very incremental, but it does not include the cost of health care or the cost of childcare, both of which we know continue to rise significantly. And so ALICE was created by the United Way, and they surveyed local governments, and they looked at what does a family need just to survive in the state of Idaho. So the beautiful colored graphic that you see on the screen here, the far right-hand side, the colorful bar, that is what a family of 4, so 2 adults and 2 children, needed just to survive, so just to pay their bills. Nothing's going to savings. They're just paying off the absolute expenses that they need, including childcare, healthcare, taxes, food, etc. And you'll notice there's a dashed line about a little under halfway there. So that's where that family would fall on the federal poverty line. So technically, they're above the federal poverty line, but they're still struggling to make ends meet. And so when we're looking at our sliding scale fee system, we're going to use this ALICE metric as a tool to help us get a more accurate understanding of where our families are at, because we recognize that even if you're over the federal poverty line, you are likely still struggling to make ends meet based on these metrics. The other thing I want to point out, just in case those of you who are sitting in the crowd today haven't done a price check on daycare recently, this is what a learning center cost was as of 2019. So the Department of Health and Welfare pulled these rates. So you'll see if you've got a little baby, it's about $600 per child that is going to be attending a daycare. And obviously those rates have gone up. It's probably about $200, $100 to $200 more by the time we open.
Alrighty, so why childcare? So despite the fact that a lot of the families in our community are working and employed, they're still struggling to make ends meet. And having affordable childcare will decrease the risk factors that a lot of families in our community face. And I'll describe what risk factors are in just a moment. And plus, it's a huge opportunity for us to continue to love the people in our community and show them the love of Christ in a hands-on way. So risk factors are risks that increase the possibility of a child being abused or neglected. So a child who is under the age of 4 falls under that category. If you come from a low income, high stress, food isolation, low education, any food insecurities or anything like that, and if you don't understand the needs of the child, that child has a higher risk of being abused and neglected in the home that they live in. Luckily, there are ways to reduce the risk factor, which is something that we want to be able to do. We want to help reduce risk factors by putting in protective factors. And so protective factors include things like social and emotional connections of children, knowledge of parenting, child development, social connections for the parents, parental resilience, and then concrete support in times of needs. This will help the whole entire family by providing developmental opportunities for the child through school readiness, through a safe environment, through food security, and also an opportunity for the children to be able to gain community within the learning center that they're attending. For the parents, it helps increase security and peace of mind through us being able to help them meet their basic needs that they have through the financial assistance that we're able to provide with the sliding scale fee. They'll be able to build a community by getting to know our volunteers and our staff that we have, along with being able to be connected to our church community here and get involved and really have that support system that they might be lacking if they weren't a part of our learning center. And that in return reduces isolation, which reduces risk factors. And then it helps them maintain their employment or even gain employment, because it's kind of hard to gain employment if you don't have anyone to watch your children.
So some of you are numbers people in the crowd. I'm looking at Ryan back here, wondering, where's the money? This sounds great, but how are you going to fund it? And so the number one thing, sliding scale means people will pay for services. So you'll pay based on your income level. We are also expecting to receive some grants from the community. There are some great federal, state, and local grants. And as long as they're in accordance with our bylaws and church stance, we can apply for those. And then we also will accept community donations from good folks like yourselves and others in the Nampa area. And then Idaho also has something called the Idaho Child Care Program that helps offset cost of child care for lower income families that we'll be able to tap into. And then we are also looking forward to partnering with volunteers and interns and having that donated time be supportive for the Learning Center as well. So we're very excited for all of that. So what do we need to start? So just to give you a snapshot of where we are in the process, Kenzie and I have been dreaming this dream for several years. We brought it to the church about a year ago officially now, and the church board voted and approved us to use your facilities in December of 2021. And so we've now applied for 501c3 tax exempt status. We're pending that approval. We've been accepted by the Idaho Secretary of State. We have a website, and all of this is to say, I can't take your money yet, but I will take your prayer. So we need about $200,000 to start, and we are hoping to open our doors in January 2023 with less than 30 kids. We're trying to keep that a loose number because we know the needs of the community are very high, but we also want to be realistic about what we can afford, and that depends on the generosity of the community in helping us get our startup costs met. So how can you help? Everybody at their table has these cute little packets. I'm saying they're cute because selfishly I made them, so I hope you agree with me. So on the inside, the first thing you can do is pray for us. So inside there is a prayer card, and so if you can put that on your fridge, and every time you see it, or once a week, or whatever your prayer habit is, if you can be thinking of Kenzie and I and our families as we're starting this journey, we would love that. We desperately need your prayer and your support. If you have little people at your table, there is also a coloring sheet of our logo and some crayons in there, because guys, we're a learning center. And so go ahead and give that a color. Put that next to the prayer card. It'll remind you when you see it. If you color within the lines, you get a gold star. So when we open in January 2023, we would love to have some volunteers to hold babies and hang out with kids. And we may have some needs as we start up closer in the fall. And then we also would love if you would consider supporting us financially. Like I said, I can't take your money yet, but I will. And the way you'll find out when that is by signing up for our newsletter. So that's my big ask today. At all of the exit tables where you grabbed your paperwork and information, there's a little sign-up sheet, and it says, sign up for the Care House Learning Center newsletter. And I hope that you'll do that, because I'd love to keep you in the loop, whether you want to sign your child up for the Learning Center, whether you're going to be a prayer partner with us, whether you're going to consider donating or volunteering. We would love to stay connected with you.
We believe that opening our Learning Center will improve the lives of families and children through comprehensive support and accessible childcare through showing the love of Jesus Christ. And we just hope that you guys will sign up for our newsletter so that we can keep you guys in the loop. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.